What's up, everyone? It's me, your boy Ryan, aka Clutch Sports Talk. Happy Monday. This is a special edition of Clutch Sports Talk live with me, Ryan Flowers. So sit back and relax. We're going to recap everything that happened over the weekend in sports, particularly in NFL and some college and stuff like that. But other than that, sit back and relax and enjoy the show. This is Clutch Sports Talk live with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk Live with Ryan Flowers is presented to you by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go. What's up, everyone? Welcome into a special edition of Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. It's Monday. Typically, I don't, go live on Mondays, but I have some free time on my hand here a little bit. Just finishing up with the work day, everything. Hope you guys are doing all right. We got Monday Night Football to talk about later on towards the end of the show. A lot of stuff to go over what happened yesterday and Sunday with all the NFL, as well as college football that took place the other day. So things like that. I want to talk a little bit about Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys and see what kind of leverage does he have now. And I have some interesting takes on that as well. But other than that, just to kind of get some stuff out of the way, make sure you guys subscribe to me on YouTube under Clutch Sports Talk, as well as the All Pro Digital page on YouTube as well. That's All Pro Digital. You can see the ticker on below. It's everywhere that I'm at. I'm at Twitter at Clutch_Talk, Instagram, Clutch.sports.talk, and again, YouTube, Clutch Sports Talk. Anywhere that you can pretty much see any type of digital video media, I'm usually going to be there, as well as on Facebook under Ryan Flowers. So other than that, make sure if you're in the room, man, leave a comment. If you have a question you want me to get to, just drop it in there. I'll be sure to answer that before the show is out. And make sure if you're watching on Facebook or Instagram, wherever you're at, make sure you share the page. Make sure you share the stream right now. Let other people know that you're watching Clutch Sports Talk with me, Ryan Flowers, live today on a Monday. So jam-packed show, got a few topics, so let's just get straight into it. So yesterday, Jalen Hurts made his first NFL career start against the New Orleans Saints in a game that the Saints probably were heavily favored and probably should have won. Right. A lot of people had the Saints winning, as they should. They were the better team, top to bottom. But Jalen Hurts came in and actually did a pretty decent job. He didn't turn the ball over. He made plays when he needed to make plays, especially with his feet. I believe he ran for over 100 yards. And also he was also backed up by the Philadelphia running game. Miles Sanders rushed for over 100 yards. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the first 100-back rusher that the Saints actually gave up, and they gave it up to him and Miles Sanders. So kudos to them. Here's what I'll say about the, Hurts moving forward. This was just a small sample size, and I'll get to the Saints here as well. And I talked about this last night on my NFL primetime show. You have to take it with a grain of salt. You can't, if you're a Philadelphia fan, you can't just say, Wentz was the problem and this and that. He could have been. He might be. One thing that we've seen a lot in the National Football League is that teams get energized when a new quarterback, a new player comes in, something new. Coaches get fired, a new coach comes in, whatever the case may be. NFL locker rooms are very particular. Anything can energize and anything can de-energize a locker room. And in yesterday's case, I think Jalen Hurts actually helped that locker room out. Every week, guys they're tired of talking about, Wentz and this and who's your allegiance to, and is Doug Peterson making the right calls and injuries and whatnot. It is what it is. Last night against the Saints, Philadelphia played inspired football. Their defense was battered. I mean, they had guys playing out of position all over the field, especially in the secondary. Their secondary is a mash unit. They got guys that were playing safety, that played corner, guys that played corner, playing safety. And you can tell, especially for those of you who actually watch football a lot, you can tell to see who is what and what is what. Jalen Hurts was backed by his team. I'm not saying Philadelphia is back in the hunt all of a sudden, because they still got some games to play and they should be okay. And I believe he was named the starter for next week Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals next week on the road in Arizona. So that should be a nice little matchup. But it's funny because he's going to be playing the guy that he ended up replacing in Kyler Murray when he went to OU. But Philadelphia definitely was invigorated, and they played inspired football, and you can tell, Their defense did what they needed to do. The Saints kind of made it close in the end, but overall, their defense bowed their necks. They stopped Taysom. No one say they stopped them, but they slowed them down. They created some turnovers. They created some field position flips and flops. But Jalen Hurts didn't turn the ball over. And when you're playing with a young quarterback in the NFL and any league, turnovers are key. And he didn't turn the ball over. But the running game really benefited him because why? You need to be able to run the football at any level. I don't care what level. You might like to pass, and that's great. Passing does win you games, but sometimes to be balanced and to help a team out, especially a young quarterback, you need to have a running game, and he got that yesterday, which was surprising because the Saints actually have one of the best rushing defenses in all of football. So it was very interesting to me that they couldn't stop him. Miles Sanders went off for like 130 yards or something like that. And I think 2 touchdowns. But Jalen Hurts, it hurts so good because he played really well. I'm not going to say he kind of went in there and just destroyed the Saints. He didn't do that. But he did what he needed to do. And credit to him for doing what we needed to do. And, shout out to the Philadelphia. That was a gritty win. And I talked about this last night. That's a gutsy win by that Philadelphia Eagles team because the Saints were, probably if not the best team in all of football. Or not in football, in the NFC, and they probably were going to be a number 1 seed, and I'm going to get to that next, actually, because now with that loss, the Saints has opened the door. They've opened the door for Green Bay to basically run away with the NFC and get that week 1 bye because looking at Green Bay's schedule, it lines up pretty favorable for them. All those games, their last 3 games that they're going to play they're probably going to be the favorites in all 3 of those games. Now, the Saints, on the other hand, they have a tough matchup next week against Patrick Mahomes, which I'll talk about later on in the show. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I think the Saints still are the better team. And Drew Brees, he may come back. We don't know what his status is for next week or moving forward. Will they stay with Taysom Hill? My thoughts on that, I think they should probably stick with Taysom Hill. Let me know what you guys think about that. It's not a bold prediction. It's not a bold saying. I just think that he is probably the guy they probably need to stick with because I related to the whole Dak Prescott, Tony Romo situation in 2016. The only difference is that Dak played the whole season. Taysom Hill has played the last 4 games. Now he's 3-1 in the last. And really, they played both teams that were under 500. You beat the Falcons twice and you beat Denver, and then you lost to the Philadelphia last night. So, but they did what they did. He did what he needed to do. I don't think they lost the games because of him. He was very serviceable. I don't know if Drew Brees gives him that other element because Taysom Hill can run the ball. And we know that mobile quarterbacks do have a little bit more success right now in the NFL. And I'm not saying runners like flat out like Lamar Jackson. I'm talking about mobile guys that can move within the pocket. Taysom Hill can do that. Drew Brees is part of the old guard of quarterbacks that actually he's a prototypical quarterback. Drop back. That's all he's doing. He's not trying to get outside the pocket too much. He's just going to sit there in the pocket. But the Saints definitely did open up the door for Green Bay, who I don't think is the best team in the NFC. I think the Saints are still the best team in the NFC, hands down. But that lost last night. So there's no need to panic if you're, with the Who Dat Nation. They lost the game. It happens. It's the NFL. Both teams are being paid. They're professionals. So don't panic. Don't freak out if the Saints lost if you're a Saints fan. It was just they just got beat by the better team that day. And for that day, the Philadelphia Eagles were the better team. But by far, the Saints are the best team in the NFC East. So moving on to the best teams, Kansas City, pretty crazy game yesterday. Now, they ended up winning. They didn't cover. I think they were -7. They were 7-point favorite to the Miami Dolphins. The first quarter, let's just say the first quarter of that game, well, not even first quarter, the first 5 to 10 minutes of that Dolphins-Chiefs game was crazy. Patrick Mahomes threw two interceptions, took a 30-yard sack, and they were down 10-0. You'd be like, what is going on? It was the craziest I've ever seen the Chiefs play. And even Patrick Mahomes, now some of the interceptions they were like some tips and stuff like that. But the 30-yard sack was pretty, I don't know. I commented on my Twitter and my Instagram. Probably one of the worst plays he's ever had in his career. But some people may disagree with me, and let me know if you do. Leave a comment in below. Let me know what you guys are thinking out there. Kansas City can turn it on and off at any given point. They've proven that from last year to this season so far. You go back to last year in the playoffs, the playoff run that they had. They were trailing every playoff game by double digits, if I'm not mistaken, even in the Super Bowl, and they ended up winning by double digits. So they may not have like the best overall roster, which is debatable by some people, and I get that. But they have probably the most dynamic players respectively in each of their positions, with the exception of running back. But they're pretty serviceable back there now with Le'Veon Bell and Edwards-Helaire. You look at Patrick Mahomes; he's probably the best quarterback in the NFL, which is arguable. A lot of people might say that he's not. I think he is. He's seen that proven every week in, week out. Travis Kelce, one of the best tight ends. With Kittle being hurt right now, you got to tip your hat to Travis Kelce. And a guy that doesn't get a lot of talk, which he probably should at the wide receiver position, is the cheetah, Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's not the prototypical 6'3", 6'4", big, wide receiver that you can just go up and make plays. But the guy makes a lot of plays, man. He runs routes really well. He has strong hands, his leaping ability. He's just a dynamic dude. You give that ball to him anywhere on the field, man. He's so dynamic. I was telling a friend the other day, I feel like the Chiefs are the comparison to the Golden State Warriors of basketball. They revolutionized the game of football. Now everyone wants to throw deep. You can't, it's just, handoffs, quick, boom, 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 boom. Patrick Mahomes throwing off from different platforms, things of that nature. And yesterday was a prime example of them. They're like, all right, we weren't playing our best. They were taking everything that the Dolphins were giving them. I mean, literally, like the Dolphins came out. They were ready. The Dolphins were ready to play that game. They were amped up and, they spotted them 10 points. They scored 28 unanswered. And then, they let the Miami Dolphins back in the game. But I feel like they have a propensity of kind of not playing down, but maybe they're just maybe they're bored or something. I don't know what it is. But sometimes they don't start very fast, and even the week before, the Sunday night matchup against the Denver Broncos, they kind of walked through that game. They ended up pulling it out, but that game was closer than what it needed to be. Come on, it's the Denver Broncos. And no shot at the Denver Broncos, but it's like they're not the Kansas City Chiefs. So it's like, and then you come into this weekend, they played Miami on the road. It's kind of one of those trap games in a sense because they were looking forward to the Saints next week, which would be a really good game. I can't wait to watch that game because, Saints coming off the loss. The Chiefs are arguably the best team in all of football. I mean, am I right or wrong? And the Bills the Bills may stake a claim to that, given their performance last week, but I'll talk about them here shortly. But if you read the caption below, can the Chiefs turn it on and off? Yes, I believe so. Now, when you do that, you play with fire because one day it's going to catch up to you and it's going to bite you in the you-know-what. You can't always play like that. You got to play to win from the jump. That's just how I've been taught. That's my mentality. I don't try to front anybody, any type of points. I'm coming to get you from the gun, right? From the whistle starts to the whistle's blown, I'm coming to get you. And the Chiefs obviously hasn't caught up with them yet, but eventually that day will come where they're not going to be able to catch up because they're going to run into that team that's not going to allow them to catch up. But I don't know who that team will be. But Chiefs Nation, your Chiefs Kingdom, enjoy it while you can. I'm not throwing hate or nothing like that because I like the Chiefs. I think they're an outstanding team. They're outstanding. They have a great fan base. They're coached well. I love everything about their team. I love the embodiment of the Chiefs. But you play games like that, it's going to end up catching you and biting you in the butt eventually. So speaking of other teams, so that were once considered one of the best teams in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers fall again last night on Sunday Night Football. They lose to the Buffalo Bills. So that's 2 weeks in a row they're not able to manage 20 points or more in a football game. Now, we knew the Steelers had some issues going into these last couple weeks, right? They weren't able to run the football. Now, last night, they tried to make a conscientious effort to run the football. It just didn't happen. It just didn't work. They looked tired. Their scheme looked outdated. Ben Roethlisberger was pressured. He threw that pick six right before the half. That kind of, I would say, kind of killed the game for them. Honestly, they need a reset. I'm not going to say they're totally out of it, but the way the Buffalo Bills played last night, the way Josh Allen played, the Steelers are definitely in trouble. They're definitely in trouble. They still have matchups against the Browns here towards the end of the season. And they could lose that game. I don't know. But the Steelers definitely need a reboot somehow. They need to figure it out. They're still a good football team. Don't get me wrong. They didn't get all the way blown out. The game was kind of in hand a little bit. They tried to make it interesting, but their defense, they're fighting injuries. And I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but injuries occur. But the problem is with these types of injuries, it's affecting particularly one key factor of their defense, of their team, is the linebackers. They got 3 or 4 injured linebackers, with the exception of TJ Watt, who is amazing. I was watching him going against the left tackle last night, D. Williams, and they were battling, but he's unblockable. But when you got guys like Spillane, Bush, who else went down? What's the other guys? Bud Dupree, and another guy went hurt last night too. So that's like 4 or 5 key components of your defense. They're injured, and you're running in new guys who probably don't even know the scheme. So injuries do affect everybody in the National Football League. I'm not saying that that's an excuse, but where it's hurting them the most is that it's affecting one particular key component of their defense, which for those of you who follow Steelers football, the linebackers make that defense for years now. Now they've had other players in the back end like, Polamalu, Minkah Fitzpatrick's there now, et cetera, et cetera. But their linebackers have always been a cornerstone in their defense. And those guys, they're hurt now. And Ben Roethlisberger, he's looking older. They don't have a running game. James Conner is not, after, his first year that he, when he came in and spelled Le'Veon Bell, he really hasn't had that much pop since then. And it's affecting them because I'm old enough to seeing the Steelers throughout the years. And one thing I'll say about the Steelers is that they don't change their coaches and they run the football. They don't run the football anymore. They just don't. They don't run the football. So that's a problem because if you don't run the football, you're asking your old quarterback to sit back there and throw for 40, 50 times a game. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. And their window, I feel like, is closing. It's almost there. I don't know what they're going to do. Mike Tomlin, he's going to have to figure out, exactly what he's going to do, but to get this team ready for the playoffs. I'm not going to say they're going to fold, but they're definitely not going to be the number one team, the number one seed anymore. It's going to be between the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, which probably be the Chiefs, and the Bills will probably be the number 2 seed team, and the Steelers will probably fall to 3 because they'll probably lose another game here or there. Who knows? But Josh Allen played a great game. The Buffalo Bills, I didn't pick them to win. I had Steelers winning. I had the Steelers picked to win last night. They didn't get the job done. Made me look back. So thanks a lot, Steeler Nation. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Steelers do. Let me know what you guys think, man. What are your comments? Let me guys know what's going on. If you have any questions, please hit me up in the comments below, and I'll definitely be sure to answer that. So, all right. This topic right here, very near and dear to me. I'm a Dak Prescott fan. I love Dak Prescott. I think he's the embodiment of a quarterback, of a leader. Guys will play through him. Now, I was watching the Bengals game last night or yesterday with the Cowboys, and I barely watched it, man, because there was no excitement. There was no excitement, and it dawned on me. If I'm Dak Prescott, I'm watching this. I'm not worried. They're going to pay me. They're going to have to pay me. And here's why. Dak has leverage over the Cowboys. And you're like, well, how does he have leverage? And some of you might disagree, and leave a comment if you do or not, or what's your thoughts, please do. Here's the thing with Dak Prescott. Well, let's back it up. So last week, the NFL announced that they flexed the Cowboys Niners game out of Sunday Night Football, which is supposed to take place this Sunday, for the Giants and the Browns. The Giants and the Browns have flexed out the Cowboys and the Niners, 2 historic, proud franchises. But why is that? Well, both teams don't even have their starting quarterback. And I bet you if Dak Prescott was still playing, regardless of their record, the Cowboys would have not been flexed out of that position. You don't flex the Cowboys out. I know they suck. I know they haven't won in over 20-something years. I get all that. But they are still the probably most watched NFL team that we have in the league, in any sport. So this is where Dak Prescott comes in. He can say, you know what? And, Jerry made a comment, today, which was total BS. He was saying he was trying to make it, he was doing a half glass, half empty type of deal where he's like, oh, well, yeah, we got flexed out, but our most watched games sometimes are at the 1 o'clock start and not the prime time. That's BS. Okay. If you're a fan, you get excited when you see that schedule, especially Sunday. Thursday night, you're maybe not so excited, maybe. Monday night and Sunday night. Those are the two games you get pumped up for as a fan. I know for me, when the schedule comes out and I see the Cowboys, I look for the Sunday night games. I look for that. Why? Because I'm watching all day. I'm watching these other games and I'm building up. I'm building up because I know my team will have the last game of the night. And for any fan, you want to see your team on primetime. You don't want to wake up and watch your team if you're on the West Coast and watch them play at 10 a.m. Like, that blows. And while I was watching that game last night, yesterday with the Bengals, dude, there was no pizzazz. Zeke didn't do anything. I mean, they played the Bengals. We want to see our quarterbacks play. And without Dak Prescott, the Cowboys have no luster whatsoever. They're unwatchable at some point. You got all these talents out there, all these weapons. It doesn't even matter because obviously the Bengals were down their quarterback. Joe Burrow's out for the year. Dak Prescott's out. It didn't matter. And they got flexed. And as a Dallas Cowboys fan, am I disrespected? No, I don't feel disrespected because I understand the nature of the NFL. It's a business. And this is where Dak can say, you know what, dear Jerry, you can say all you want about, oh, this is okay. We don't mind playing at 1:15 on CBS or whatever. That's BS. Let's be real. Jerry Jones is probably the most narcissistic owner we've had in American sports history. And the fact that he is saying it's okay that his team got flexed out of the primetime spot where all of America is watching that one game, and you rather be placed at the 1 o'clock start game where it's spread out because other people are watching their teams or other games, he's out of his mind. He's out of his mind. And I know he got off that phone interview and was like, yeah, that was total BS, because that's not the case. The fact of the matter is the Dallas Cowboys need Dak Prescott more than Dak Prescott needs the Dallas Cowboys. And that's straight up. Because here's the thing. You can tank. You can try to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, and I've always said this, that quarterback, whoever you put in there, cannot overcome the dysfunction of the Jerry Jones and his GM ability. So Dak has the temperament. He's been there a while. He's definitely a really good player. It looks like he's going to best out Carson Wentz as far as career is concerned, because who knows, maybe Carson Wentz goes somewhere else, but Dak Prescott will get his money. Will he get the full amount? Maybe not. But the fact that they made a mistake and they paid everybody else, and this is what pisses me off about the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones. You paid everybody else, but you didn't pay the most important piece of your franchise, which is the quarterback. And we all know in American sports, the quarterback is the most crucial position you need to get right. And that's why I feel like Dak Prescott definitely has leverage over the Dallas Cowboys for next season. So I'm not worried about it. I think Dak is going to be all right. And even if they franchise tag him, he's going to go out and ball. And guess what? The price will double because Dak Prescott has, if you know anything about Dak Prescott, I'm kind of venturing off here. There is a documentary on him on YouTube. I forgot what it's called. I think it's Dak Prescott Homecoming. Watch that. Because you'll understand the psyche and the mentality of this young man, all the stuff that he's gone through. It hasn't been easy for him. So him having this injury is nothing new. He's always had to face some type of adversity with his brother committing suicide, his mom dying during his college football season, which, by the way, he ended up leading Mississippi State to a #1 ranking in school history. First time that's ever happened. So this leg injury is a small bump, a mere bump in the road for this young man. And I have all the confidence in him that he'll be back. I don't believe in the Dallas Cowboys, though, the organization overall. But either way, they franchise tag him. He's going to ball out. They're going to end up paying him. He's going to get his money some way, somehow. And I'll leave it at that. But leave a comment. Please let me guys know what you think about that particular take, because that one means a lot to me, because I really am a Dak Prescott fan. I don't care what you think. He may not be Russell Wilson. He may not be Patrick Mahomes, but he's my quarterback. I wish I had the TO glasses so I could be like, that's my quarterback. But Dak Prescott, that's my boy, man. Shout out to him, man. Hope he gets better. All right. So I tend to talk a little bit of college football, and I'm probably going to start talking about a little bit more because we got the college football playoff, coming here to a head. Here's the thing. I looked at the rankings. Now, Florida, with that loss against LSU, they're basically done there. They're knocked out. So, got a comment here from Michael Warden. We need more than a quarterback for sure. Yeah. Well, I feel like, Mike, we got everything that we need. I feel like the coaching is not great and the ownership isn't great. But appreciate Mike Ward. Hope you're doing good, man. Thanks for the comment, though, so you guys can see what he wrote there. But yeah. But anyway, back to college football. We don't need to expand this. And I've talked about this to ad nauseum. I think this will be the last time I talk about it. And here's why. The top 4 teams, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and who was the other? Ohio State. And Ohio State, I'm going to touch on them here towards the end. I'm going to bring it in for a landing with them. After those 4 teams, A&M, who got blown out by Alabama, mind you, okay, and Florida, who was number 6, they just lost to LSU at home when they were 24-point favorites. So, okay. After that, you got Cincinnati, Coastal Carolina, God knows who else, right? So you mean to tell me if we expand this out to 8, right? And I think Coastal Carolina is 8. They would play Alabama first round. Would you really, really want to see Alabama play Coastal Carolina? And no shot at Coastal Carolina. I think what they've done is phenomenal. But they're not on the same level as Alabama. So why the hell would you expand the playoff to watch them play Alabama and get annihilated? Right? Now, the case for Ohio State is, well, they only played 4 games. And if they win the Big Ten Conference, it'll be 5 games. So I get it. The Big Ten screwed up. They should have just started the season like everyone else did. So did the Pac-12. But let's just be real. Ohio State probably is the weakest out of that 4. And I'm not saying that they're totally weak, but they're not the same team that they were last year. Obviously, Justin Fields is 1 year better, but he's only played 4 games. When you're looking at Alabama and Clemson, Notre Dame, they're rolling through everybody. And people are like, oh, well, it's not fair. Ohio State's going to get in. But you know what, dude? It's not always about the football. It's about marketing. It's about business. Who else can fit that spot? Texas A&M? Like I just mentioned, they got blown out by Alabama. So what makes you think they can compete with the Notre Dame? And people are sleeping on Notre Dame. I'm telling you, Notre Dame is not the same Notre Dame. So, and I'll get on here if they get blasted somehow, because they got a big game this weekend too. And even if they do lose that game against Clemson in the ACC championship game, why not? Why shouldn't they not get in? Are they not better than Texas A&M, Cincinnati, Indiana? Come on, man. If you think we need to expand this thing, just really think to yourself. Look at the teams. Really look at the rankings. I'm going to pull them up. Let's pull them up for you guys right now. And I'm going to share my screen once I pull this up. Let's just be honest with ourselves, right? I'm just pulling it up for you guys. All right. So check this out. Oh, no, this is an old one. Sorry. All right. All right, here we go. So Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State. Those are the top 4. Texas A&M, they should be out just because they got blown up by Alabama earlier. Florida is done. You lose at home when you're 24-point favorites to LSU, who was like 3-5 at the time. You're done. Iowa State, really? Iowa State's going to get in the top 4. Cincinnati, really? Georgia, you got blown out by Florida, really? Miami, no. You just gave up over 500 yards in total rushing to North Carolina. Indiana, sorry. Good story, but you don't have no business being in the playoff. And then Coastal Carolina. Come on, man. And then Northwestern. You're probably going to lose anyway Saturday night to the Ohio State. And then USC, who had to basically come from behind in 3 of their 5 wins this season. Come on, let's be real with ourselves, people. This is not what we want. You don't want to extend this playoff because it's going to be watered down. It doesn't make any sense. So please, if you think that we should expand it, please leave me a comment. Hit me up on social media and we can have a debate, because there's no way in heck that any of those teams outside of the top 4 that they have right now, and even if Clemson even if Clemson loses again, you still put them in there. And this is what Mike says, Ohio State definitely deserves to be up there. I mean, I won't say they deserve it, but they're still better than all those other teams that played more than 4 games. Now, I think they're the weakest of the 4 for sure. And I don't think they won't get past the first round depending on their matchup, because right now, if it started today, they would end up playing Alabama. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. He also says they would absolutely produce better. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I mean, honestly, would they though? I don't know. And appreciate you, Mike, for dropping those comments, man. Hey, make sure you share this stream too, man, while you at it. But yeah, I mean, would they produce more than A&M? I don't know. Probably not. But I will say this, they have a better quarterback than A&M, so maybe they might be able to hang with Alabama a lot longer, because Justin Fields is actually not a bad quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He's going to be playing on Sundays for sure next season. So he also says, I think they're close to Clemson somewhat. Yeah, Clemson will get a lot of guys. A lot of guys missed that Notre Dame game from Clemson, especially on the defensive side. So, and obviously the biggest player that didn't play that game was Trevor Lawrence. So he'll be suited up. So Clemson actually might beat Notre Dame because defensively they'll be a lot better than they were a month ago when they played Notre Dame back in South Bend. So, but appreciate you, Mike, man. Thanks a lot, brother, for bringing those questions in here, man. But let's just get all this out of here. We don't need to expand no football playoff. All right. And I'm going to leave it at that. So before I get out of here, man, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens playing today. This is a very pivotal game for both teams. Obviously, why? Because the Ravens need to keep on pace. They need to continue to win to kind of get in the playoff. And the Browns need to prove to everybody, because here's the thing about the Browns. They got a primetime game today. They got flexed into a game next week. Now, this is it. Cleveland fans, don't crap the bed, because America is watching you. And there's a lot of people that are going to be doing the side-eye thing like, oh, God, here they go, the Cleveland Browns. They got the primetime matchup. They're probably going to get blown out tonight, and they're probably going to lose next week to the Giants somehow, because that's what the Cleveland Browns do. Right, and they do that. I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, to be honest with you. So they're being put to the forefront. They're trying to help the Browns out. Will they win tonight? I believe so. And why? And a lot of people say the Ravens might win, but this is why the Cleveland Browns will win. The Ravens are hurt on the defensive line. Calais Campbell is still battling a calf injury. Another defensive tackle, I believe, is D. Williams. I think he's questionable. And you need those guys in the middle of the defense. Why? Because you got to stop the run. And what does Cleveland like to do with their 2 prominent running backs? Oh, yeah. They run the football. Nick Chubb, who's one of the top 4 backs in the NFL right now. Oh, yeah, they also got a guy named Kareem Hunt. He can run the football a little bit too, right? So just by that, it'll be a close game. It'll be under, I think. Their defense is strong enough to slow down Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson, he's going to be out. He's going to have to throw the football. And the blueprint is out on him. You slow him down by forcing him to throw. You keep him in the pocket for as long as you can. He'll get out the pocket. He's fast. He's elusive. But you force him to throw, they will fold. And they don't play well from behind. So you get up on them early. You force them to try to play catch up. They just can't do it. So I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns today. I'm not going to give you a score. I don't do the score thing. I don't believe in that. And no offense to people that do. But I don't believe in that. So the Cleveland Browns are not that fun. This is a divisional game. Now, it will be closer because both teams know each other. And the Browns want a little get back because they got throttled in the first week of the NFL season by who? The Baltimore Ravens. And that's a long time. That win don't even count anymore. I mean, it counts, but it's so far long ago that it don't even matter. I don't think anybody even remembers that game. But I bet you the Browns remember that game. Is Baker Mayfield going to come out and win this game for them? No. He's not that dude. But Kevin Stefanski has done a great job with bringing in his philosophy, his strategy, and therefore He's going to make it. He's going to make the game. He's going to play their style of football, which is running the ball, play action, and not allowing Baker to make too many decisions. And that's why the Browns will win today. So that's it. That's it in a nutshell, man. So that game is getting ready to kick off actually in, I think, like 15 minutes. 15 or 20 minutes. So, but other than that, man, appreciate everyone that was in the house today. Michael Warden, hey, man, you're the MVP of guests today. So appreciate you, man. Hope you're doing well, man. Other than that, man, that's all I got. Be on the lookout for my next show. It'll be on Wednesday. I'm probably going to be doing Mondays and Wednesdays a lot more frequently, so please stay tuned for that. Other than that, man, that's my time. It's me, your boy, Ryan Flowers. Make sure you guys stay safe. This is Clutch Sports Talk Live with me, Ryan Flowers. Never settle till the work is done. Let's go. Clutch Sports Talk with Ryan Flowers Live was presented by All Pro Digital Sports, the future in sports media content. Let's go.